You know that feeling when you're keeping a secret so big it feels like it's crushing your chest every time you breathe? That was my life for 6 months. 6 months of living with the most incredible man I'd ever met, watching him smile at me over morning coffee, feeling my heart race every time our hands accidentally touched, and knowing that one truth could make it all disappear. My name is Adrian, and this is the story of how hiding my medical condition nearly destroyed the best thing that ever happened to me, and how honesty became the bridge to a love I never thought I deserved. The apartment on Maple Street wasn't much to look at from the outside, a converted brownstone in Chicago's Lakeview neighborhood with ivy climbing up the brick facade and a crooked mailbox that had seen better days. But to me, it represented freedom. Freedom from my overprotective parents, from their constant worry, from being treated like I might shatter at any moment. I was 26 years old, and I was finally moving out. "You sure about this, Adrian?" My mom stood in the doorway of what would be my new bedroom, her arms crossed in that way mothers do when they're trying not to cry. "It's not too late to change your mind. Your old room is exactly how you left it." I set down the box labeled books, handle with care, and turned to face her. Maria Chen had always been beautiful, even when she was worried, which was basically always when it came to me. Her dark hair was streaked with silver now, pulled back in a neat bun, and her brown eyes were shimmering with unshed tears. "Mom, I'm sure I need to do this. But what about your appointments, your medication? What if something happens and—" "Then I'll handle it," I said gently, taking her hands in mine. "I'm an adult. I've been managing my condition for 12 years. I know what I'm doing." She squeezed my hands, and I could feel them trembling slightly. "I know you do, sweetheart. I worry." "I know, but you can't protect me forever." What I didn't tell her was that I'd specifically chosen this apartment, this roommate situation, because it was a chance to start over. A chance to be just Adrian, not Adrian with type 1 diabetes, not Adrian who needs special accommodations, not Adrian who nearly died from diabetic ketoacidosis when he was 14. Just Adrian. The sound of footsteps on the stairs interrupted our moment, and then he appeared in the doorway, and I swear the entire room got brighter. "Hey, you must be Adrian's mom. I'm Ethan." Ethan Morrison was exactly the kind of guy who made you believe in love at first sight, even if you'd sworn off such foolish notions. He was tall, probably 6'2" to my 5'10", with sandy blonde hair that fell just past his ears in effortless waves, green eyes that crinkled at the corners when he smiled, and a body that suggested he actually used his gym membership instead of just paying for one like a normal person. He wore a faded Northwestern University t-shirt and jeans with paint stains on them, and when he extended his hand to my mother, I noticed the calluses on his palms. Working hands, real hands. I was absolutely doomed. "Mrs. Chen, it's so nice to meet you. Don't worry, I'll take good care of your son. I'm a pretty decent cook, I don't throw wild parties, and I've been told I'm an excellent roommate." His smile was warm and genuine, and I watched my mother's resolve crumble like cookies in milk. "It's nice to meet you too, Ethan. Adrian's told me you're a carpenter." "Yes, ma'am, custom furniture mostly. I have a workshop in the basement. The landlord was cool with it. I promise I don't work late or make too much noise. Very considerate hours." As they chatted, I found myself just staring. There was something about the way Ethan moved, the easy confidence in his gestures, the genuine kindness in his voice. He wasn't just handsome, though God knows he was that. He was magnetic. And that scared me more than anything. After my parents finally left, my dad slipping me $200 just in case, and my mom making me promise to call every day, Ethan helped me unpack the rest of my boxes. "So you're a graphic designer?" he asked, carefully pulling books from a box and handing them to me to shelve. "Yeah, mostly freelance right now. Web design, branding, some illustration work. It's perfect because I can work from home, set my own hours, and manage my blood sugar without nosy coworkers asking questions," I thought but didn't say. "That's awesome. I love the freedom of being your own boss. Though I gotta say, some months are feast, some are famine, you know." Oh, I definitely know. I laughed, relaxing a little. This was good. Normal roommate conversation, nothing complicated. Hey, I was thinking, Ethan said, straightening up and brushing dust off his jeans. I usually meal prep on Sundays. Nothing fancy, just bulk cooking for the week so I'm not eating takeout every night. You're welcome to join if you want. Could save us both some money. My stomach sank. Meal prep meant sharing food, which meant explaining why I couldn't just eat whatever was convenient, why I needed to know exact carbohydrate counts, why I sometimes needed to eat at specific times, regardless of whether it was mealtime or not. Oh, that's really nice, but I'm kind of particular about my diet. Nothing personal, I have some food preferences. Something flickered across Ethan's face, maybe disappointment, but it was gone so quickly I might have imagined it. No worries, man. The offer stands if you change your mind. The first month of living with Ethan fell into a comfortable pattern. He was genuinely one of the easiest people I'd ever lived with. He was clean without being obsessive, friendly without being intrusive, and respectful of my space. He also had a boyfriend. Or at least I assumed the guy who came over every few nights was his boyfriend. Marcus. Tall, black, gorgeous, always dressed like he'd just stepped out of a menswear catalog. They'd disappear into Ethan's room and I'd hear low laughter, the murmur of conversation, sometimes music. I told myself it was good. Better, actually, it meant Ethan was unavailable, which meant I wouldn't do anything stupid like develop feelings for my straight roommate. Except Ethan wasn't straight. And Marcus wasn't his boyfriend. I discovered both these facts on a Friday night when I emerged from my room around midnight, desperately needing to treat a low blood sugar episode. I'd been so absorbed in a design project that I'd missed my dinner alarm, and now my hands were shaking, my vision was blurring, and I needed glucose fast. I stumbled to the kitchen, fumbling with the cabinet where I kept my emergency glucose tablets hidden behind the coffee mugs. My fingers weren't cooperating, and I heard the bottle clatter to the floor, pills scattering across the tile. Shit, I whispered, dropping to my knees to gather them up. Adrian, you okay? I looked up to find Ethan standing in the kitchen doorway, wearing only pajama pants, his hair mussed, concern written across his face. I'm fine, I said too quickly, shoving tablets into my mouth and chewing. The chalky sweetness spread across my tongue. Just low blood sugar, no big deal. Ethan crossed the kitchen in 3 strides, kneeling beside me. Low blood sugar, are you diabetic? It's nothing, I'm handling it. I grabbed the bottle and started to stand, but my legs were unsteady, and Ethan's hand shot out to steady me. Whoa, easy, come on, let's get you to the couch. He guided me to the living room, his hand warm and solid against my back, and I hated how good it felt to be cared for, how much I wanted to lean into him. Do you need anything else? Water, food? His eyes were searching my face, and I could see the worry there, the same worry I'd seen in my parents' eyes my whole life. I'm okay, really, just need to sit for a few minutes, let the glucose kick in. I pulled away from his touch, creating distance. You can go back to Marcus. Ethan blinked. Marcus. Your boyfriend. A laugh burst from him, surprising and genuine. Marcus isn't my boyfriend. He's my best friend, and he's very happily married to his husband, David. He just comes over to watch sports and complain about how David won't let him buy a motorcycle. Oh, I felt heat creep up my neck. I just assumed that I was straight. Ethan's smile was crooked, a little self-deprecating. I get that sometimes. I don't exactly fit the stereotype, whatever that means. No, I knew you were gay, or bi, or, I kind of picked up on it. I was babbling now, the glucose making my head fuzzy in a different way. I just thought Marcus was, never mind, it doesn't matter. We sat in silence for a moment, and I could feel Ethan studying me. So, he said carefully, diabetes, is it serious? And there it was, the question I'd been dreading, the moment where everything changed. It's type 1. I said quietly, I've had it since I was 14. It's manageable with insulin and monitoring, but yeah, it's serious. It's why I work from home, why I'm weird about food, why you've probably noticed I keep a lot of juice boxes in the fridge, and sometimes I'm in the bathroom a lot, and I was talking too fast now, words tumbling out. I'm sorry I didn't tell you before I moved in. I wanted to be normal. I didn't want to be the diabetic roommate, or have you worry or treat me differently. Ethan was quiet for so long that I finally forced myself to look at him. His expression was unreadable. Adrian, you should have told me. What if something had happened and I didn't know what to do? I have an emergency kit. Instructions are with my medical stuff. I'm careful, I manage it well, You could have trusted me. The words were soft, but they hit like a punch. He was right. I'd lived with this man for a month, laughed with him, shared space with him, developed completely inappropriate feelings for him, and I hadn't trusted him with the most basic truth about myself. I'm sorry, I whispered. Ethan reached out and took my hand, and the touch sent electricity through my entire body. Don't apologize for being diabetic, Adrian. That's not something to be sorry about. But we're going to talk about this tomorrow, okay? When you're feeling better, I want to know what I need to know to help keep you safe. His thumb brushed across my knuckles, and I wondered if he could feel my pulse racing, if he knew it wasn't entirely from the low blood sugar. Okay, I managed. Good, he squeezed my hand once before letting go, and I immediately missed his warmth. I'm going to let Marcus know I need to call it a night. You good here for a minute? I nodded and watched him walk away, his shoulders tense in a way I'd never seen before. What had I done? I woke the next morning to the smell of coffee and something sweet, cinnamon maybe. Sunlight was streaming through my bedroom window, and for a moment I just lay there, staring at the ceiling and remembering the night before. The low blood sugar, the scattered glucose tablets, Ethan's hand steadying me, his concern, his touch. You could have trusted me. I groaned and pulled a pillow over my face. I'd handled it all wrong. I always handled things wrong when it came to my diabetes, either oversharing and making people uncomfortable or hiding it completely and creating problems like this. There was a soft knock on my door. Adrian, you awake? Ethan's voice, of course. Yeah, I called out, sitting up and running my hands through my hair. Come in. He pushed the door open, carrying a tray with 2 mugs of coffee and a plate of what looked like banana bread. He was dressed in a Henley and jeans, his hair still damp from a shower, and he looked simultaneously nervous and determined. Morning, he said, setting the tray on my dresser. I made breakfast. Well, I made banana bread. It's whole wheat, not too much sugar. I googled diabetic-friendly recipes last night. I stared at him. You, what? I did some reading, after you went to bed, about type 1 diabetes, about blood sugar management, about what to do in emergencies. He sat down on the edge of my bed, maintaining a respectful distance, but close enough that I could smell his soap, something clean and woodsy. I want to understand, Adrian. I want to help if you need it. Something in my chest cracked open, something I'd been holding tight for years. You don't have to do that, I said quietly. It's not your responsibility. Maybe not, but you're my roommate, my friend, I hope, and friends look out for each other. He picked up one of the coffee mugs and handed it to me. So talk to me, help me understand. And there, in the morning sunlight, with coffee warming my hands and Ethan's green eyes focused entirely on me, I finally let down my walls. I told him everything. Coming up in Adrian and Ethan's relationship deepens as they navigate daily life together. But when Adrian's health takes an unexpected turn, the foundation of trust they've built will be tested. Meanwhile, Adrian begins to realize his feelings for Ethan go far beyond friendship. But does Ethan feel the same way? Over the next few weeks, something shifted between Ethan and me. It was subtle at first, the way he'd check in without being overbearing, asking if I'd eaten lunch or if I needed anything from the store. He started keeping juice boxes in his mini fridge in the workshop, just in case. He learned to recognize the signs when my blood sugar was dropping, the slight tremor in my hands, the way my words would slur just slightly, the distant look I'd get. But more than that, he made me feel seen, not as a medical condition, but as a person who happened to have diabetes. "So explain the numbers to me again," Ethan said one Sunday afternoon. We were both sprawled on the couch, ostensibly watching a Cubs game, but mostly just talking. His leg was pressed against mine, and I was acutely aware of every point of contact. I pulled out my continuous glucose monitor and showed him the app on my phone. "See this? It tracks my blood sugar in real time. This range here," I pointed to the green zone, "is where I want to be, between 70 and 180. And right now you're at 142, that's good." "That's perfect, actually." I smiled at his earnest expression. "Too low, below 70, and I get hypoglycemic. That's what happened that night. Too high, above 180 for too long, and it can cause damage over time. It's all about balance." Ethan studied the screen, his brow furrowed in concentration. "And you have to check this all the time." "The sensor does it automatically, but I still test with finger sticks to calibrate, and before I drive, and if I feel off." I shrugged. "It's second nature now, like breathing." "That's a lot." His voice was soft, almost admiring. "I don't know how you do it." "You'd be surprised what you can adapt to when you don't have a choice." I locked my phone, suddenly self-conscious. "Besides, it could be worse. At least I have modern technology. Imagine doing this 100 years ago with beef insulin and urine testing strips." Ethan laughed, the sound warm and rich. "You're pretty amazing, you know that." Our eyes met, and something electric passed between us. His gaze dropped to my mouth just for a second, and my breath caught. Then his phone buzzed, shattering the moment. "Sorry," he muttered, checking the message. "It's my sister. She wants me to build a bookshelf for her new place." He typed out a quick response, then looked back at me with a slightly embarrassed smile. "Family, what can you do?" "Tell me about them," I said, desperate to keep him talking, to stay in this bubble we'd created. His whole face softened. "Oh man, where do I start? There's Sarah, that's who just texted. She's 2 years younger than me, works as a veterinarian, never met an animal she didn't want to adopt. Then there's my brother Chris, he's the baby, just finished law school." As he talked about his family, I watched the way his hands moved, expressive and graceful. The way his eyes lit up when he mentioned his nephew's birthday party. The way his voice carried so much love for the people in his life. And I thought, dangerously, I want to be one of those people. I want to be someone he talks about like that. It became a routine, these late-night conversations on the couch. After Marcus would leave, or after Ethan finished a project in the workshop, he'd emerge with 2 beers, one for him, sparkling water for me. He'd learned that alcohol affected my blood sugar unpredictably, and we'd just talk. About everything, about nothing. I learned that Ethan had come out at 19, that his parents had been supportive, if slightly confused, that his first boyfriend had cheated on him with a woman, which had messed with his head for a while. "I think that's why I don't date much now," he admitted one night, 3 weeks after the glucose tablet incident. It was late, past midnight, and we were both tired but unwilling to break the spell of the conversation. "After Ryan, I don't trust easily, and I refuse to be someone's experiment or their dirty secret." "That's fair," I said, pulling my knees up to my chest. "You deserve someone who's sure about you, someone who sees how incredible you are." Ethan looked at me, something vulnerable in his expression. "Is that how you see me? Incredible." My heart was pounding. "Yeah, I do." The air between us felt charged, heavy with words unsaid. I could see the pulse beating in his throat, the slight part of his lips, the way his chest rose and fell with carefully controlled breaths. "Adrian, My phone alarm went off, the one reminding me to check my blood sugar before bed, and the moment shattered like glass. "Sorry," I mumbled, fumbling for my phone to silence it. I need to check my levels before I sleep." "Right. Of course." Ethan stood up quickly, running a hand through his hair. "I should get to bed anyway, early client meeting tomorrow." "Yes, good night, Ethan." "Good night." I watched him walk away and wondered if I'd imagined the regret in his voice. Come with me. I looked up from my laptop to find Ethan standing in my doorway, wearing dark jeans and a buttoned-down shirt that made his eyes look impossibly green. Come where? There's an art gallery opening in Andersonville. One of my clients is showcasing some pieces, mixed media stuff, really cool. I was going to go alone, but he shrugged, but there was something nervous in the gesture. I thought you might enjoy it as a designer. Are you asking me on a date? The words were out before I could stop them, and I watched Ethan's expression carefully. He was quiet for a moment, then, would you want it to be? My mouth went dry, would you? I asked you first. We stared at each other, and I could feel the weight of the moment, the precipice we were standing on. Yes, I said finally, quietly, I would want it to be a date. Ethan's smile was slow and devastating. Then it's a date. Come on, go change into something nice. We leave in 20 minutes. The gallery was small and intimate, exposed brick walls covered with vibrant paintings and sculptures that seemed to blur the line between organic and geometric. But I barely saw any of it because I couldn't stop looking at Ethan. He was animated, passionate as he explained the woodworking techniques in some of the pieces, his hand occasionally brushing the small of my back as he guided me from display to display. Every touch sent sparks through my nervous system. This one reminds me of you, he said, stopping in front of a sculpture made of reclaimed wood and copper wire. It was abstract but beautiful, all sharp angles softened by flowing curves, rigid structure with fluid movement. How so? It's strong but delicate, complex, beautiful in a way that isn't obvious at first glance. You have to really look at it to appreciate all the layers. His eyes met mine, like you. I couldn't breathe. Ethan. I like you, Adrian. I've liked you since move-in day, if I'm being honest. The way you smile when you're concentrating, the way you talk about design like it's magic, the way you're so damn strong even when you don't realize it. He took a step closer. I want to know everything about you. The diabetes, yeah, but also your favorite color and what makes you laugh and what you dream about at 3 a.m. Navy blue, I whispered. My favorite color is navy blue. I laugh at terrible puns. And at 3 a.m. I dream about, I swallowed hard. I dream about being brave enough to tell you that I like you too, that I've been falling for you for weeks, that you're the first person in years who's made me want to take a risk. Ethan's hand came up to cup my jaw, his thumb brushing my cheekbone. Is this okay? More than okay. He leaned in slowly, giving me every opportunity to pull away, but I didn't. I met him halfway, and when our lips touched, it felt like coming home. The kiss was soft, tentative, a question and an answer all at once. He tasted like the wine he'd been sipping, and his lips were warm and gentle, and I never wanted it to end. When we finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against mine. I've wanted to do that for so long, he murmured. Me too. Come on, he said, taking my hand and lacing our fingers together. Let's get out of here. I want to take you somewhere. Ethan drove us to North Avenue Beach, and we walked along the shore under the stars, our hands still intertwined. The city skyline glittered across the water, and the waves provided a gentle soundtrack to our conversation. Tell me about when you were diagnosed, Ethan said. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I want to understand all of you. So I told him about being 14 and constantly thirsty, losing weight, feeling exhausted. About my parents thinking it was just teenage growing pains until I collapsed during soccer practice. About waking up in the ICU with tubes and wires and my mother's terrified face. I was in DKA, diabetic ketoacidosis. My body was basically shutting down because it couldn't process glucose without insulin. The doctors said if we'd waited another day. I shook my head. I was lucky. That must have been terrifying. It was, and then came the reality of it, shots multiple times a day, testing constantly, watching everything I eat, knowing that this was forever. I kicked at the sand. I felt broken, like my body had betrayed me. Ethan stopped walking and turned to face me, taking both my hands in his. "You're not broken, Adrian, you're not. I know that now, mostly, but it's hard sometimes, you know. Dating is complicated when you have to explain your medical devices and why you can't just spontaneously go out to eat without calculating carbs first. People get weird about it. They either treat me like I'm fragile or they act like it's no big deal when it actually is kind of a big deal." "I'm not going to do either of those things," Ethan said firmly. "I'm going to learn what you need me to know, I'm going to support you however you need, and I'm going to see you, all of you, as the complete, whole person you are." Tears pricked my eyes. "How are you real?" He smiled and pulled me closer. "I'm real, this is real, and I'm not going anywhere." We kissed again, deeper this time, and I let myself believe him. 2 weeks of dating Ethan felt like living in a dream. We were taking it slow, learning each other, but the chemistry between us was undeniable. He'd kiss me goodbye before leaving for a job site, leave little notes on my desk, hold my hand under the table when we watched movies. It was perfect. Until it wasn't. I woke up one morning feeling off. My blood sugar was high, 265, despite having taken my insulin before bed. I gave myself a correction dose and tried not to worry. By afternoon, I was at 312. My vision was blurry, my mouth tasted like metal, and I felt nauseous. I tested my ketones, high. Jed. I was going into DKA. I stumbled to the bathroom, vomiting, my hands shaking as I tried to call my endocrinologist. The room was spinning, and I could barely hold my phone. The last thing I remembered was the bathroom floor coming up to meet me and Ethan's voice, panicked and far away, calling my name. I came to in the ER, the familiar beeping of monitors surrounding me. An IV was in my arm, and my mouth felt like it was stuffed with cotton. "Hey, there you are." I turned my head slowly, because even that hurt, to find Ethan sitting beside my bed, his face pale and drawn, his hair sticking up like he'd been running his hands through it for hours. "What happened?" My voice was a croak. "You went into DKA. I came home early from a meeting and found you unconscious in the bathroom. I called 911. His voice cracked. "Adrian, you scared the hell out of me." "I'm sorry, my pump, something must have malfunctioned. The insulin wasn't delivering right." I tried to sit up, but Ethan gently pressed me back down. "Don't apologize, just rest. The doctors said you'll be okay. You just need fluids and insulin to get your levels back to normal." "How long have you been here?" 5 hours. He took my hand carefully, mindful of the IV. "I'm not leaving." "Ethan, you don't have to." "Yes, I do." His eyes were fierce. "You don't get it, do you? I'm falling in love with you, Adrian, and that means when you're in the hospital, I'm here, no arguments." "I'm falling in love with you." The words echoed in my head, overwhelming and perfect and terrifying. "I'm falling in love with you too," I whispered. He leaned forward and kissed my forehead gently. "Then let me be here for you, let me in all the way. No more hiding, no more protecting me from the hard parts. We are in this together now." I nodded, tears slipping down my cheeks. "Together." "Together," he confirmed. And for the first time in my life, I truly believed I didn't have to face my diabetes alone. Coming up in part 3, Adrian and Ethan navigate the realities of a relationship where chronic illness is part of the equation. When Ethan makes a decision that forces Adrian to confront his deepest fears about being a burden, they'll both have to decide if their love is strong enough to weather the challenges ahead, and discover that true love means embracing every part of each other, even the difficult parts. Coming home from the hospital felt different this time. My parents had arrived within hours of Ethan's call, and while my mom fussed over me and my dad stood quietly worried in the corner, it was Ethan who truly took care of me. He'd researched pump malfunctions, called the medical device company to expedite a replacement, organized my medications, and even created a charging station for all my medical devices, so I'd never have to worry about dead batteries again. "You didn't have to do all this," I said, watching him arrange my insulin pens in the mini fridge he'd moved into my bedroom. I wanted to. He closed the fridge and sat on the edge of my bed. Your mom gave me some tips. Actually, she's pretty amazing. I laughed weakly. She's also probably overwhelmed you with information and worry. She loves you. She wants to make sure I understand what I'm signing up for. His expression turned serious. And I do understand, Adrian. This wasn't some abstract concept anymore. Seeing you like that, unconscious, not knowing if you were going to be okay. He swallowed hard. It was the worst moment of my life. I reached for his hand. I'm sorry you had to go through that. Don't be sorry, be honest with me. Always, that's all I ask. I can do that. The weeks following my hospital stay brought a new rhythm to our relationship. Ethan started coming with me to my endocrinologist appointments, asking questions and taking notes. He learned how to help me change my pump site, how to mix emergency glucagon, how to recognize the subtle signs that something was wrong before it became critical. But more than that, he learned me. He discovered that I got cranky when my blood sugar was high, that I needed extra reassurance when it was low, that sometimes I just needed him to hold me and tell me it wasn't my fault when my numbers wouldn't cooperate. And I learned him that he processed worry through action, that he felt helpless when he couldn't fix things, that he needed me to tell him explicitly when I needed help versus when I needed space. We grew together, navigating the complexity of a relationship that included chronic illness but wasn't defined by it. I have something to show you, Ethan said one Saturday morning, taking my hand and leading me down to his workshop. In the center of the space sat the most beautiful piece of furniture I'd ever seen, a custom nightstand with built-in compartments specifically designed for my medical supplies. There was a drawer with a cooling element for insulin, a charging station with multiple ports, a discreet spot for my sharps container, and even a small cabinet with a lock for my emergency glucagon. Ethan, I breathed, this is. I wanted you to have something that made managing everything easier, and I thought, if we're building a life together, we should have furniture that works for both of us. He looked nervous, vulnerable. Do you like it? I turned to him, tears streaming down my face. I love it, I love you. I love you too. He pulled me into his arms, and I buried my face in his chest, overwhelmed by the thoughtfulness, the care, the absolute acceptance this represented. This wasn't just a nightstand. It was a declaration. I see all of you, and I'm building a space for all of you in my life. They're going to love you, Ethan assured me for the 10th time as we pulled up to his parents' house in Evanston. You say that, but what if they think I'm too much? What if they worry that I'm going to be a burden on you? What if? Adrian, he turned off the car and took my hand. My mom already loves you because you make me happy. My dad loves anyone who loves his kids. Sarah texted me yesterday specifically to tell me to bring you to family dinner. And Chris, he smiled. Chris is going to interrogate you about your design work because he's thinking about rebranding his new law practice. Okay, I can do this. You can do this. He leaned over and kissed me softly. And if your blood sugar acts up or you need to take a break, we'll handle it. No shame, no apologies. His family was exactly as warm as he'd promised. His mother, Patricia, immediately pulled me into a hug and thanked me for making her son smile again. His father, Robert, shook my hand and then also pulled me into a hug, which seemed to be a Morrison family trait. Sarah took one look at me and announced, "Oh, he's cute. Good job, Ethan." And Chris, true to prediction, cornered me about design work before we'd even made it to the dinner table. The evening was filled with laughter, good food. Patricia had quietly asked Ethan about my dietary needs and prepared accordingly, and the kind of chaotic warmth that comes from a family that genuinely enjoys being together. At one point, I excused myself to check my blood sugar, still getting used to the new pump and wanting to make sure everything was working properly. When I came back from the bathroom, I overheard Patricia talking to Ethan in the kitchen. "He's wonderful, sweetheart. I can see how much you care about each other." "Thanks, Mom. I know the diabetes thing adds complexity, but every relationship has complexity, Ethan. What matters is that you both face it together. And from what I can see, you do. A pause. Does he make you happy? Happier than I've ever been. Then that's all that matters. I stood in the hallway, my heart full, and realized this was what family felt like when it was right. 6 months after that first kiss at the gallery, Ethan and I fell into an easy domesticity that felt both exciting and comfortable. We'd learned each other's routines, quirks, and needs. We'd navigated holidays, family gatherings, and the daily challenges of managing my diabetes as a team. We'd built a life together. I thought I knew what to expect from our relationship. What I didn't expect was coming home from a client meeting to find our apartment transformed. Candles lined the hallway, LED ones. Ethan was safety conscious. Rose petals made a path from the front door to the living room, and in the center of it all stood Ethan, dressed in slacks and a crisp white shirt, looking nervous and hopeful and absolutely beautiful. "What's all this?" I asked, my heart already racing. "Adrian Chen," he said, and his voice was shaking slightly. "These past 6 months with you have been the best of my life. You've taught me what it means to truly be a partner, not just in the easy moments, but in all of them. The 3 a.m. low blood sugar checks, the frustrating days when the numbers don't make sense, the hospital scares, and everything in between." He took a step toward me, and I saw the small box in his hand. "You've also taught me what courage looks like. Every single day, you wake up and face challenges that most people can't imagine, and you do it with grace and strength and humor. You inspire me. You make me want to be better, do better, love better." He dropped to one knee, and I gasped, my hands flying to my mouth. "I want to spend the rest of my life loving all of you, the parts you think are difficult and the parts you think are easy, the parts you're proud of and the parts you struggle with, because all of it, all of you, is what I'm in love with." He opened the box, revealing a simple, elegant band. "Will you marry me?" I was crying now, tears of joy streaming down my face. "Yes, God, yes, of course I'll marry you." He stood and slipped the ring onto my finger, then pulled me into a kiss that tasted like salt and happiness and forever. "I love you so much," I whispered against his lips. "I love you too, all of you, always." We decided on a small wedding, just close family and friends, at the Chicago Botanic Garden in early autumn when the leaves were turning gold and orange. My parents cried, happy tears, mostly. Ethan's family welcomed me with open arms. Marcus stood as Ethan's best man and gave a speech about how he'd never seen his best friend so completely in love. But the moment that mattered most was standing under an arch of copper and reclaimed wood, built by Ethan himself, and saying our vows. "Adrian," Ethan began, his voice steady despite the tears in his eyes. "When you moved into that apartment on Maple Street, I thought I was just getting a roommate. What I got instead was a partner, a best friend, and the love of my life. You've taught me that love isn't about perfect conditions or easy circumstances. It's about showing up every day for the person you've chosen. It's about learning their rhythms, understanding their needs, and celebrating their victories, no matter how small." He reached for my hands, his thumbs brushing over my knuckles. "I promise to always see you, not your medical condition, but the brilliant, creative, strong, beautiful person you are. I promise to be there for the hard days and the easy ones. I promise to keep learning, keep growing, and keep choosing you every single day. I promise to build a life with you that has space for all of you, because all of you is what I want." I was openly weeping now, and I didn't care who saw. "Ethan," I said, my voice thick with emotion, "you saved me, but not in the way you might think. You didn't save me from my diabetes or from the challenges it brings. You saved me from the belief that I had to face those challenges alone. You saved me from thinking that I was too much, too complicated, too broken to be loved completely." I squeezed his hands, grounding myself in the solid warmth of him. "You've shown me what it means to be truly seen and truly accepted. You've created space for every part of me, the highs and lows, literally and figuratively. You've turned what I thought was my biggest weakness into something we face together as a team. and that has made all the difference. I took a shaky breath. I promise to let you in always, to be honest about what I need, even when it's hard. I promise to celebrate your victories and support you through your struggles. I promise to build a life with you that is full of laughter, adventure, love, and yes, excellent meal prep and perfectly calibrated medical supply organization. The crowd laughed through their tears, and Ethan grinned at me, his eyes shining. I promise to love you, choose you, and cherish you every single day, because loving you is the easiest and best thing I've ever done. Our honeymoon was a week in a cabin in Door County, quiet, peaceful, and perfectly us. We hiked through state parks with my backup diabetes supplies in a carefully packed bag, cooked meals together with careful carb counting, and spent long evenings by the fire just talking about everything and nothing. On our last night, we sat on the deck under the stars, wrapped in a blanket, my head on Ethan's shoulder. "What are you thinking about?" he asked, pressing a kiss to my temple. "I'm thinking about how different my life is now compared to a year ago. How I used to think my diabetes made me unlovable, that no one would want to deal with all the complications it brings. And now I know that the right person doesn't see it as dealing with complications. They see it as just part of loving me, part of our life together." I tilted my head to look at him. "You make me feel whole, Ethan, not because you fix anything broken in me, but because you see me as whole already." "You are whole, you always were." His arm tightened around me. "I'm just grateful you let me into your life, into your heart, into all the messy, complicated, beautiful parts. I wouldn't have it any other way." We sat in comfortable silence for a while, listening to the waves lap against the shore, watching the stars wheel overhead. "Hey, Adrian." "Yes." "Check your blood sugar. We've been out here a while, and I know sitting still sometimes makes it drop." I laughed and pulled out my phone to check my CGM. "It's 128. Perfect." "Good, because I want to take you inside and show you exactly how much I love you, and I need you at optimal levels for that." I turned to him, seeing the heat in his eyes, the promise of the night ahead. "Oh, is that so?" "That's absolutely so, husband." Husband, the word sent a thrill through me every time. Then what are we waiting for? Epilogue 3 years later. The house in Logan Square had a backyard small but perfect for our needs. Ethan had built a deck with his own hands, complete with a pergola covered in climbing roses. I'd designed the garden, mixing vegetables with flowers, function with beauty. We'd made a home here, a real home. I sat on the deck steps, laptop balanced on my knees, putting the finishing touches on a website design for a local nonprofit. The late afternoon sun was warm on my shoulders, and I could hear Ethan in the workshop, music playing as he worked on a commission. My CGM buzzed, a gentle reminder that my blood sugar was climbing a bit. I set aside my laptop and went inside to dose insulin, a routine so automatic now that I barely thought about it. When I came back out, Ethan was standing on the deck, 2 glasses of iced tea in his hands. "Break time," he offered. "Break time," I agreed, taking one of the glasses and settling into the porch swing beside him. He pulled me close, and we swayed gently, the comfortable silence of people who know each other deeply. "I got an email today," I said, "from a kid. Well, he's 18 now, so I guess not a kid anymore. He found my blog about living with type 1, and he wanted to thank me." I'd started the blog a year after we got married, sharing my story of learning to live fully with diabetes, of finding love despite my fears, of building a life that made space for both challenges and joy. "What did he say?" He said reading about my journey gave him hope, that he'd been diagnosed 6 months ago and felt like his life was over, like no one would ever want to date him or love him because of it. And then he found my story and our story, and it showed him that it was possible to have both, to manage diabetes and have a full, happy life. Ethan kissed my temple. "You're changing lives, you know that." "We are changing lives. Our story is both of ours." "True." He was quiet for a moment. "What did you tell him?" I pulled out my phone and showed him my response. Dear Marcus, weird coincidence about the name. Thank you for reaching out. I remember exactly how you feel right now, scared, overwhelmed, like your body has betrayed you and your future is suddenly uncertain. I want you to know that those feelings are valid and also that they won't last forever. Here's what I wish someone had told me. Having diabetes doesn't make you unlovable, unworthy, or incomplete. It makes you someone who has learned to be resilient, to advocate for yourself, to appreciate your health in ways others might take for granted. Those are strengths, not weaknesses. The right people will see all of you, not just your medical condition, but the complete, whole person you are. They'll learn alongside you, support you, and love you not despite your diabetes, but including it as part of your story. My husband Ethan, who you can read about in other posts, once told me that love isn't about perfect conditions or easy circumstances. It's about showing up for each other every day in whatever way is needed, and he was right. You will find your people. You will build a life that makes space for your medical needs while still being full of joy, adventure, and love. And someday, you might even find yourself writing to someone else who's newly diagnosed, letting them know that it gets better. Because it does get better, I promise. Wishing you health and happiness. Adrian Morrison. Ethan's eyes were suspiciously bright when he finished reading. Morrison, you signed it Morrison. Well, that is my name now, I grinned at him, has been for 3 years. I know, but I still get a thrill every time I see it. Adrian Morrison, my husband. Your husband who needs to check his blood sugar before dinner. Your husband who's going to make you the best damn chicken stir-fry you've ever had, with perfectly measured carbs, because I'm an excellent partner. I laughed and kissed him, tasting tea and sunshine and happiness. You really are. So are you, Adrian, so are you. As the sun set over our little house in Logan Square, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, I thought about the journey that had brought us here. From hiding my medical condition in fear to sharing it openly with the world. From believing I was too complicated to love to knowing I was loved completely, complications and all. I thought about that scared 26-year-old moving into an apartment, desperate to be seen as normal, as just Adrian. And I smiled because I'd learned something profound. I didn't need to be just Adrian. I could be Adrian with type 1 diabetes, Adrian who checks his blood sugar multiple times a day, Adrian who sometimes needs help and sometimes needs space, Adrian who is complex and strong and worthy of love. All of it, all of me. Because the right person, the right people, don't love you despite your challenges. They love you, including them. They see every part of you and choose to build a life that honors all of it. Ethan's hand found mine, our rings clicking softly together. I love you, he said simply. I love you too, always. And in that moment, watching the sunset with my husband's hand in mine, my medical devices keeping me healthy, and our home full of light and love and acceptance, I knew. This was exactly where I was meant to be. This was exactly who I was meant to be. Just me, all of me. Finally, beautifully, completely whole.